as I walked into my family's weekly Sunday dinner. The $20 price tag would give Aunt Mary exactly what she wanted. Another reason to remind everyone of my unfortunate financial situation. If she only knew that the modest diamond studs in my ears cost more than her house. "Oh, Emma's here," Aunt Mary announced as I entered the formal dining room. "Still wearing that dress from last Christmas, dear?" "Actually, I bought this dress specifically for tonight. My closet full of Chanel and Dior would have to wait for another day, preferably after Bloomberg released their article tomorrow." "You know how it is, Aunt Mary," I smiled, taking my usual seat at the far end of the table, the failure corner as my cousins called it. My mother shot me a disappointed look. After all, I was the daughter who'd thrown away a promising law career to play with stocks in my apartment. The family disappointment who'd refused to join Dad's firm or marry the right people or maintain the right social connections. If they only knew I owned the building their precious country club sat on. "Emma dear," Mom began with forced cheerfulness, "have you reconsidered Robert's offer? The junior partner position is still available." "Still working on my own projects, Mom," I replied, accepting the plate of roast beef being passed around. Projects like the hostile takeover of Robert's firm I'd been orchestrating for the past 6 months. "Projects?" my cousin William snorted. "Is that what we're calling day trading now?" I bit back a smile, thinking of the hedge fund I'd built from scratch. The one that had just closed its $5 billion deal. The one that would be revealed as mine tomorrow morning. "How's the market treating you?" Uncle George asked with fake concern. "Still trying to make it big?" I thought about my net worth, carefully hidden behind shell companies and offshore accounts. $340 million as of this morning, though tomorrow's announcement would likely push it higher. "Getting by," I said quietly, playing the role they'd assigned me. The struggling investor. The family failure. The cautionary tale they used to warn their children about straying from the approved path. My phone buzzed discreetly, a message from my CEO. "Bloomberg article ready for tomorrow. Stock positions secured. Ready when you are." "At least your sister is doing well," Aunt Mary announced proudly. "Sarah's law firm just made her full partner. And that house she bought in the Heights." The Heights, the luxury development I'd invested in 3 years ago. Sarah's exclusive address was actually my property, though the ownership was buried under layers of LLCs. "Speaking of real estate," Uncle George boasted, swirling his wine, "my firm just closed a deal on that new downtown development. Very exclusive. Very profitable." I nodded politely, not mentioning that my fund owned 51% of that development through a silent partnership. Uncle George's firm was essentially working for me, though he had no idea. "Emma could have had all this," Mom sighed to the table at large. "Top of her class at Yale Law. Could have had her pick of firms. But no, she had to follow this investment dream. Someone has to be the family disappointment," Cousin Rachel laughed, showing off her new tennis bracelet. "Not everyone can be successful." The bracelet was a knockoff of one I owned, the real version, bought from Cartier last year. But tonight wasn't about showing off wealth. Tonight was about letting them dig their holes just a little deeper. "More wine, Emma?" Aunt Mary offered sweetly. "I imagine you need it, living in that tiny apartment trying to make ends meet." My tiny apartment was actually the entire top floor of a luxury building I owned. The struggling lifestyle they mocked was carefully crafted to hide what I'd built while they weren't looking. "Thank you, Auntie." I accepted the wine, checking my phone again. Another message. Financial Times wants exclusive commentary for morning edition. Your reveal is trending in investment circles. Tomorrow they'd all learn that the family failure had built something extraordinary. That the daughter they'd dismissed as naive had created one of the most successful hedge funds in the city. That the cousin they mocked had been quietly buying up half the properties they bragged about. But tonight I'd let them enjoy their illusions one last time. "Did you hear about the Mitchell acquisition?" William bragged, straightening his fake Rolex. "Biggest deal of the quarter. My team led the negotiations." I hid my smile behind my wine glass. The Mitchell deal had actually been orchestrated by my fund, with William's team handling basic paperwork. They were so far down the transaction chain they didn't even know who really owned the assets. "How impressive," I murmured, checking another message from my CEO. "Wall Street Journal wants to break story simultaneously with Bloomberg." "Your call." "You know, Emma, Aunt Mary leaned forward, her diamond necklace catching the light. It's not too late to reconsider your choices. Your father could still find me a position at the firm? I finished. Thanks, but I'm comfortable with my decisions. More comfortable than they knew. My fund had outperformed every major hedge fund for the past 3 years. The mysterious investor they'd all been speculating about was about to be revealed as the family failure they loved to mock. Comfortable? Sarah scoffed. In that tiny apartment? Driving that old Honda? The Honda was deliberate, like the H&M dress and modest jewelry. Success wasn't about showing off. It was about building something meaningful while they weren't looking. Speaking of investments, Uncle George announced, we just acquired that boutique hotel downtown. Very exclusive deal. Limited partners only. I nodded, remembering the paperwork I'd signed last week. My fund owned 60% of that hotel through a shell company. Uncle George's firm was merely managing it for me. Emma used to have such potential, Mom sighed to no one in particular. Top of her class, perfect credentials. And now she day trades from her sofa, Cousin Rachel finished with a smirk. Such a waste. My phone buzzed again, photos from my fund's latest acquisition. A $500 million commercial development in Singapore. The deal would be announced alongside my reveal tomorrow. More potatoes, dear? Aunt Mary pushed the bowl toward me. I imagine you need to save money on groceries these days. I accepted the potatoes, thinking about the Michelin-starred restaurants I owned. The private chef who cooked for my real apartment. The wine cellar worth more than Aunt Mary's entire net worth. You know, Sarah began, her voice dripping with false concern, my firm is always looking for paralegals. If you need a real job. I appreciate the offer, I replied, checking another message. Forbes wants to do a cover story. Youngest female hedge fund billionaire, Angle. Billionaire. Tomorrow's revelation would push my net worth well over the $1 billion mark. The family failure was about to become the family's wealthiest member, by several orders of magnitude. At least try to dress appropriately for dinner, Aunt Mary whispered loudly. That dress looks like it's from a department store. Sorry, Auntie. I apologized, not mentioning the Dior gown hanging in my closet for tomorrow's press conference. I'll try to do better. Such a shame, Mom murmured to her sister. She could have had everything. The right career, the right connections. I had more than they could imagine. My fund controlled billions in assets. My investment portfolio included half the premium properties in the city. My connections included CEOs, world leaders, and actual billionaires, not the country club socialites they worshipped. More wine, Emma? Uncle George offered condescendingly. Might help with the career situation. If he only knew that I owned the vineyard that produced this wine. That his exclusive wine club membership was at a facility my fund had acquired last year. That every real estate deal he bragged about required my final approval. The dinner continued, a parade of subtle digs and condescending comments. Each remark pushed tomorrow's revelation from satisfying to spectacular. They were writing the perfect script for their own humiliation. Just as Aunt Mary was launching into another critique of my poor life choices, the first notification hit everyone's phones. Breaking news from Bloomberg Markets. Oh, this is interesting, William said, scanning his screen. They're finally revealing the identity of that mysterious hedge fund manager. The one behind Phoenix Capital. My heart raced slightly. This was it, the moment 5 years of careful planning had led to. Phoenix Capital? Uncle George perked up. The fund that bought half of downtown? This should be good. Apparently they're doing a full reveal tomorrow morning, Sarah added, scrolling through her phone. There's already speculation about who it could be. I checked my own phone. All media embargo lifts in 3, 2, 1. Suddenly, every phone at the table buzzed simultaneously. The headlines started flooding in. Phoenix Capital founder revealed. Emma Chin emerges as Wall Street's newest billionaire. From law school dropout to hedge fund titan. The Emma Chin story. Mysterious investor unmasked. How Emma Chin built a billion-dollar empire in silence. The silence around the dinner table was deafening. This must be a mistake, Aunt Mary whispered, her face pale as she stared at her phone. No mistake, I said quietly, straightening in my chair. Phoenix Capital is my fund. Has been since I started it 5 years ago. William choked on his wine. But that's impossible. Phoenix owns half the premium properties in the city. Including this house, I added casually. I bought it through a shell company last year when Uncle George's real estate firm put it up for sale. We're renting from you? Mom's voice was barely audible. Along with half the country club members, I confirmed. That exclusive development you all love so much? Phoenix acquired it 2 years ago. Sarah's hands trembled as she read the Forbes article. Current net worth estimated at $1.2 billion? After today's market close, I nodded. Tomorrow's announcement should push it higher. But you live in that tiny apartment. Aunt Mary sputtered. Actually, I own the building. The tiny apartment is just where I meet family. My real residence is the penthouse. Uncle George was frantically checking his phone. The downtown hotel deal was approved by me, I finished. Phoenix owns 60% through subsidiary companies. Your firm just manages it for us. The Mitchell acquisition. William started. Also mine. Your team handled the paperwork, but Phoenix controlled the deal from the start. Mom sat frozen, her perfect composure shattered. All this time, while you thought I was failing? I smiled. I was building something extraordinary. Every deal you bragged about, every property you envied, every exclusive investment you celebrated, it all required my approval. I stood up, smoothing down my H&M dress. I should go. Press conference tomorrow morning. But first. I reached into my modest purse and pulled out a stack of envelopes. What are these? Sarah asked, taking one with trembling hands. Ownership statements. Every property, every investment, every deal you thought you controlled, all traced back to Phoenix Capital. To me. The room erupted in chaos. William was calling his office. Sarah was frantically texting her law partners. Uncle George sat staring at his phone, watching his real estate empire crumble under the revelation that he'd been working for his niece all along. But why hide it? Mom finally asked. Because I wanted to see who you really were, I replied. How you treated someone you thought was struggling. How you acted when you believed you were superior. I walked to the door, then turned back. Oh, and Aunt Mary. About this dress. I pulled out my phone, displaying a photo of my Real closet. I have a wardrobe worth more than your house. I just chose to wear H&M tonight. Sometimes success isn't about showing off wealth. It's about watching people reveal their true characters. The next morning I walked into my fund's real offices, a gleaming skyscraper downtown. My H&M dress was replaced by Chanel. My modest jewelry switched for actual diamonds. The press conference was a blur of cameras and questions, but one moment stood out. A reporter asked, "Why maintain the pretense of struggling for so long?" I thought about all the Sunday dinners, all the condescending comments, all the fake concern and real disdain. Success isn't just about making money, I answered. It's about understanding people's true nature. Sometimes the best way to build an empire is to let others